Alright, what's going on, guys? Gdoggcasey here, and welcome to the start of yet another new series. This is falling right in line with what I've been doing lately on the channel, and this is going to be yet another one. So, welcome to Pillars of Eternity. Now, this is a bit of an older game, but I was sitting there thinking, and I wanted to have like a true RPG game on the docket, basically. And we already got Path of Exile, we already have World of Warcraft. Those are a little bit different. They're not really true RPGs. Okay, Daisy, hello. And, we got some other games on here as well. But in the goal of trying to become a variety YouTuber, I figured, you know what? Let's go right into Pillars of Eternity. This gives me the best excuse to start up a playthrough of this game, because honestly, I really do love games of this style. And this is a little bit more of an updated version of these types of games, so it's going to be a little bit easier to swallow as a newcomer to these types of games. You know, if I would have started with something like Baldur's Gate or Icewind Dale, those are just a little bit more old school, maybe a little bit tougher to introduce somebody to these types of games. So I figured we'd go with Pillars of Eternity to start with, and if we can make it through this game, we can do anything, right? So let's go ahead and start a new game. I've already started several games of Pillars of Eternity in the past, but we're going to be starting a new one here. We're going to be going with normal. We're going to keep expert mode off, and we're going to keep Trial of Iron mode off as well. Expert mode basically just takes away a lot of like well, it says here helper features. So for example, like the shared stash and stuff like that. I'm just going to keep it off. And Trial of Iron means that if you die, your file gets deleted, and we don't want that, because we'll probably die, because normal difficulty is actually pretty hard, from what I remember. Pillars of Eternity. So I believe it's going to start us off with asking us to create our character. We're going to go pretty quickly through this, but we'll do it nonetheless. NPCs with... oh, okay.
5 wagons grope blindly for the path on a starless night, their master glancing ever upward to the skies for assurance that he is on the right course. A dim lantern his only protection against the encroaching darkness. But the skies bring no comfort, shining no light, betraying no hint of what they know. The caravan carries travelers bound for the frontier hamlet of Gilded Vale, you among them, where a local lord has offered land and wealth to settlers from abroad looking for a fresh start. You have taken suddenly ill, sweating and shivering, and one of the other travelers signals for the caravan master to stop on your behalf. He pulls up just in time to avoid plowing into the trunk of a fallen tree that bars the way ahead. You will go no further tonight.
Okay, so there's the intro. So we're basically just on a caravan going to a town, and we have to stop for the night, and our character is feeling incredibly sick. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and create the character. Like I said, we're going to be pretty quick about it. I'm going to be a little power gamey. Just a little bit, because I figured I want to make a rogue type character. So we're going to go with an elf. Let's see. So the elf gives us a bonus to dexterity and perception. Elves are the dominant race in Air Glonfoth, and the white that wends are extremely common in the Deerwood and Adir. Elves are known for their speed and intelligence, as well as commonly isolationist nature. Okay. So we can choose to be a wood elf or a pale elf. The wood elf, against any enemy that is more than 4 meters away, wood elves gain bonuses. And the pale elf, all pale elves have increased burn and freeze damage reduction. I mean, I guess we'll go with this, because I'm not really planning on using range attacks, so we'll go for a pale elf. It's unclear exactly how long ago the Pale Elves, or the Glamphilin, came to the world, or came to the southern polar regions of the world, but they have lived there for at least 12,000 years based on their continuous contract with, I don't know how to say this, with Amua traders. They appear to be amongst the most stationary ethnic groups in the known world, migrating within the polar region but seldom venturing far north. They are rare in all northern lands, and most people consider them exotic if they have seen one at all. So we get elemental endurance for that. Yeah, we'll go with that. Why not? We are going to pick a rogue. So that's how we look right now. Rogues are vicious killers, feared for the brutality of their attacks. They can be found as often in dark back alleys, or they can be found as often in dark back alleys as the heart of battlefield skirmishes. Though unpredictable and undisciplined, rogues are commonly used as shock troops, or as... What's a shock troop? Oh, God. Oh, 8 damage types. Okay, shock is one of the damage types. Or as part of a surprise assault. Their withering attacks, breaking enemy ranks and morale. Rogues tend to congregate in larger numbers in cities where they can be steadily employed as mercenaries or hired muscle. So our starting ability is Sneak Attack. Sneak Attack applies bonus damage to the rogue's range and melee attacks when the target has any of the following afflictions: blinded, flanked, hobbled, paralyzed, petrified, prone, stuck, stunned, or weakened. It also applies to any target the rogue strikes with a weapon within the first 2 seconds of combat. Interesting. We get +1 to stealth and +2 to mechanics, and there's some other stuff about us here as well. Our accuracy is very high. We are not very tanky at all, though. So we'll go with that. So we get to choose an ability to start with. We can either go Crippling Strike or Blinding Strike. So if we go back, we can see here whether the target's blinded or hobbled. So hold on, what is Crippling Strike? It makes the target hobbled for 10 seconds. Or Blinding Strike, they're blinded for 10 seconds. We're going to go with Blinding Strike, because Blinding Strike is going to reduce incoming damage to us, because it lowers their... it reduces their accuracy by 25 for all sources. Perception is reduced by 4, so... it's going to lower the incoming damage against us. Alright, so the rogue's most important stats are Perception and Might, because we're going to be doing a lot of damage with our might, and our perception is going to allow us to do different things outside of combat as well. So we're going to focus on those two. We're going to bump each one up to like 16 to start, let's say. We can drop some down by quite a bit. So things that are going to make us more tanky, I'm going to drop down a little bit, so maybe Constitution and maybe Resolve. Obviously Dexterity is something we're going to want quite a bit of as well. And Intellect seems pretty decent. It represents a character's logic and reasoning capabilities. In interactions, it can be useful for deduction, sudden realizations, and problem solving. In combat, it contributes to will defense and other things. We have 3 more points. Maybe we don't... well, I don't know. How about something like this? This seems about right. Well, what's the max we can go up? 18. Okay. So there. I like this idea. Next. Okay, now we get to pick a culture. So we're going to go... and these, increase your stats in different ways as well. More Resolve, more Dexterity, more Constitution, Might, or Perception. And it also changes your starting gear. We're going to go with... probably this one. Deadfire Archipelago. Consisting of the nation of Nasatak, dozens of Omoa settlements, and hundreds of lawless, pirate-infested islands that stretch along the southern sea, Deadfire is home to boreal dwarves, Omoa, and a mixed variety of other races. Deadfire Archipelago is the last stop for anyone headed east. A multitude of monstrous sea creatures infest the ocean beyond, making travel virtually impossible. I'm really just picking it because I want that +1 Dexterity. So we'll go for that. Then we get to pick a background, which we can further increase some of our sub-abilities. Athletics and Mechanics sounds good. Stealth and Mechanics. This is the one we really want, though. Drifter. You never quite fit in no matter where you go. Each new town is just a place to rest briefly before moving on to the next. You're more comfortable on the road traveling the world. Okay. So next. So we are a Drifter. And yeah, I suppose this looks about as close to us as possible. Okay, we can have crazy facial hair. I think we'll go without. Face is a little better. And as far as the hair goes... yeah, let's stick with something like that. I'm okay with this look, honestly. I don't want to spend too much time on this anyway. So next, and then we can pick a voice.
Now I am the leader of the group. Stand together! Nice and slow.
Huh?
I'll lead the way. You better run!
Let's keep quiet. Yes?
I shall lead us.
We can give him a female voice. That'd be kind of funny.
I'll take a peek. Watch and learn.
Keeping quiet. Huh? Follow me.
Let's go!
Okay, let's go stoic. I like stoic. Alright, what's his name gonna be? Shike. Because that's what I usually call all my rogue-type characters. Okay, so we're finally into the game now, and we're gonna do a little bit of an introduction here. So the Caravan Master Odema. The Caravan Master finishes addressing the group, his bushy red mustache and sagging jowls quivering as if for emphasis.
Everybody stays close to the wagons, got it? Stay out of the woods, and beasts take you if you were planning a stroll through those ruins up there.
He nods towards a looming black mass on the hillside.
Whole area's crawling with hut-dwelling types who would be happy to stick an axe in you for trespassing. So mind that you don't track mud on their sacred blazing rocks. Tonight, everybody stays put, and in the morning we'll get the path cleared. Gilded Vale's less than a day out. Understood?
At last, the Caravan Master turns to you, frowning as he looks you over.
Touch of the rumbling rot, could be. There's a stinging beetle round here, carries it. You'll be fine once it passes your innards. Unless you don't drink water, course. Which case you'll be dead in a day. There's a berry grows in these parts, small and pink, called a springberry. About the size of a fingernail. Give you cramps if you eat it, but the frontiersmen make a tea from it. Calms the insides. Should get you through the night. You might check around, see if you can find some. Meanwhile, I'll see if we can scare you up some water. I know you want to hunt before it gets much darker. But see about refilling our water first. Got a sick one here.
So Odema looks over his shoulder at his assistant, a lanky, intense man named Sparful, who carries an old, sun-bleached bow. He says this. So this is the one kind of thing I'm not the biggest fan of in this game, is that the speech just sort of kicks in and then keeps going, and it leaves out the narration, and it just makes it a little awkward. But he said what he said. He nods in your direction. Sparfell nods and slides the worn bow over his shoulder. Okay, so we're in this sort of ruined area, so let's see, what are these ruins?
Nothing you won't see on half the hills of Air Glonfoth. Money to be made selling their knickknacks in Defiance Bay, if you don't mind getting stuck with Glonfoth and arrows now and again. They didn't build them, but I'll be the effigy if they don't watch them like a mother bear. Of course, all the ones around here have been ransacked 10 times over. Got nothing left worth half a pawn, so I hear.
So your character's attributes, skills, class, race, culture, and sex may all open up options for you in the dialogue. These options are not necessarily superior to the other responses, but it gives you a wider variety of choices to select from. The manner in which someone responds to your choices depends on their individual personality and attitude. So we don't have anything here like that, but... okay, who did build these
Got
ruins?
different names for them. Settlers called them Ingwithans. Nobody that liked them enough to stop them becoming ruins, tell you that much.
Ingwithans. Is it dangerous out here?
Not if you hurry about your business. And not if the weather holds up.
There's a concern in his tone, but he does not elaborate. Well, what kind of weather do they get up here?
This time of year, rain mostly, and wind. But there's a different kind of wind out here time to time. Locals call it a beowick, born out of the ether, the spirit's path. Never seen it myself, never cared to.
A beowick. What are these huge rocks coming up out of the ground?
They don't got Adra where you come from? Well, it just grows up out of the ground like this. Goes deep like tree roots. Some of it all the way to the heart of the world, you believe the stories. It's more like a shell than a proper rock. Easier to work if you're a mason. Got all kinds of strange properties. Seems to have some kind of life of its own. Dies if it gets dug up. Loses its luster. Folks think it probably grew at one point or another, but not these days. The soul butchers in Defiance Bay use it for different things. I've heard tell it can hold a man's soul, but I don't care to see it. Got enough to worry about without seeing something like that.
Alright, where would I find these berries?
They grow on a bush that's common round here, kind of funny looking. You'll know it when you see it. Doubt you'd have to go far off the road to find one.
Alright, well, we'll go see about those berries then.
Hold on. Take someone with you. I know you're not some helpless tenderfoot, not like most of this lot. But you drop dead, I don't want to be looking for the body. Got a schedule to keep.
He scans over the travelers, resting his eyes at length on a sturdy, armor-clad woman who has spent the journey's night sleeping on uneven ground without a blanket or a pillow.
Kalisha. Kalisha!
The woman looks up on her own time.
He needs to find some springberries. Watch that he doesn't drop dead.
No promises.
What kind of guide says something like that?
Kind you can afford.
Don't listen to her. You're in good hands. And I pay too well, if anything. Off with you. Hayden should have supplies. See that you're equipped before you head out. We're in harsh country. Get your berries and hurry back. And if you get so much as a tickle of wind, you drop everything and you run. Something in the air tonight. If it's a Beawick, we'll shelter in the ruins. Hut dwellers be damned.
You heard the man. Let's get going
Sure.
before you keel over.
Okay. Welcome to Pillars of Eternity. If this is your first visit to the world of Aora, you might want to watch these windows to become familiar with the tools and interfaces available to you. Your party always consists of your character and up to 5 additional companions or adventurers. While the caravan is camped outside the Glanfathan ruins, Odema has assigned Kalisha to help you. Kalisha is a fighter, a class that excels at close quarters defense. Use her abilities to complement your own. To select a party member, click on their selection circle, their portrait, or press the number button that corresponds to the position in the party, starting with 1 at the left. To select multiple party members, click and hold anywhere on the screen and drag a box over, like that. To move several selected characters, click anywhere on the screen where your cursor is a circle of 4 wedges, yeah. If you see a red circle to slash through it, you can't move there. When multiple party members are selected, the action bar is hidden. To see an individual character's option, select only that character. So this is the action bar they're talking about. We have our different abilities here, as well as our weapon sets. And she's got her stuff here. We can talk to her as well.
Springberries grow wild all over the place here.
Yeah.
Keep your eye out.
Okay, one thing we're gonna do is quickly check the settings. The voice frequency. I'm gonna turn this down because it's gonna be a little annoying. We got quest updates, screen edge scrolling, show news, developer. Oh, we've turned off developer commentary for this. I turned it on for the last time I played because I was interested. Difficulties on normal, area of effect highlighting. All this stuff is good. Will not receive knock-in injuries when they're reduced to 0. No, we'll keep that off. Show qualifiers. In-game tutorials, combat tooltips. Display the effects of choosing each conversation option on the player's reputation and personality. Yeah, let's do that. Show relative defenses and all this other stuff. Auto pause is pretty important. So the game will auto pause and center on the party member when they die. Not when they're damaged, but when they have low endurance or low health, it will. When an enemy's spotted. When a weapon is ineffective or something has extraordinary defense. When we find a hidden object. Not hit, attacked, or engaged, or when combat starts, because it does it when we spot an enemy, which is kind of the same thing. And the speed will slow down during combat. There, so yeah, that's all the settings we got. Yeah, we'll save. Okay, so we're here. If we hold tab, we can look around, we can see different things we can interact with. We can then, like, come up here. I think, anyway. These tall glass green pillars appear as if they've sprouted from the earth. The flickering fire sets shadows dancing within. We can make this a bit bigger, too. Alright, we got some things we can look at. So one of the main reasons why I picked a rogue is so that we can open stuff like this. So we'll pick up a potion of minor endurance. Not everything's locked here, though. Get some armor. And I go to the stash and just put everything in the stash. And we'll get more about that later. These guys are all just sort of basic people. They don't say much. Most people you encounter in the world are neutral or friendly. You can interact with them by clicking on their selection circle. Many characters will simply greet you and go on their way, but others will have larger conversations to explore. The merchant Heodin has a conversation that opens a store with equipment for sale. Alright. There's Heodin over here.
Anyone need supplies? I've got sundries for sale.
I'll pick up some of this stuff, just random stuff. I'll talk to Heodin. You see a man wearing simple but mostly neat clothes. He's transfixed, however, by a ragged tear in the seam of his tunic.
Brought a whole wagon full of goods to sell, but not enough shirts for the road.
He scratches one cheek with his knuckles. It's covered with uneven stubble, as if he hasn't gotten quite used to shaving on the road.
Say, is there anything you need? I've got some basic traveling supplies for sale, if you'd like to take a look.
Let's see what you've got. So here we can just buy a whole bunch of basic stuff. We actually don't need any of this. We do have some things that we got for when I bought the game. I think I pre-ordered it. So, stores allow you to trade and sell your items for copper pieces, or CP, or items in the store's inventory. Merchants buy items from you at a greatly reduced price. If you sell something, you may see it appear in the store's inventory with a much higher cost. Stores periodically refresh their inventories. But we don't need any of this stuff. Right now we're looking at all of it, I believe. Oh, we can retrain a character. That's interesting. Oh, I don't actually want that. But yeah, these are the different things we can buy. Armor and weapons. But we already start with stuff, so we're good. We can still
Something
talk
else
to him,
you
though.
need?
Who are you?
I'm a trader, originally from the Adir Empire, but I've been trying to establish new business out here. Life on the road has brought some unexpected challenges, to be sure. And I'm sure you've noticed how prickly the locals can be. But we're here to make the most of things, right?
Yeah, we might as well try. I'm not trying to be clever. Tell me about the Adir Empire.
It's not as big as it used to be, but it's still big. The mainland is a continent northwest of here, but the colonies used to include Rhaed Saris and the Deerwood. About 150 years ago, Deerwood won its independence from the Empire. A fact our companions are quick to remind me of.
Okay. Why'd you move all the way out here?
Because it seemed friendlier than Rhaed Saris? My brothers took over the family mercantile business a few years ago, and there wasn't enough for me to do back home. I moved out to try and expand.
Deerwood is a former Adir colony, so it seemed like a good place to start. As much as I admire the Rhaed Sarans' work ethic, they've always struck me as a little fanatical. Sounds reasonable enough. I'm not really trying to use any of those. Alright, we better go. Okay. So let's go ahead and explore some of this area. Exploration is key in Pillars of Eternity as you make your way through the Eastern Reach. Open the area map to see what parts of the map you've already been to and what's left to explore. So that's by pushing M. We can see the map here. So we'll start by kind of going up here. Oh, is this, yeah, Sparful.
I'll have your water soon enough. Stream's not going anywhere.
So we're gonna be holding tab quite often so we can find things like this. And you can just harvest all sorts of random shit. The path winds through a narrow canyon back the way you came. Grooves in the road
straight too far.
mark the passage
Let's
of
check by
hundreds
those
of
outcroppings.
caravans. Oh, we got a young wolf here. Okay, so we got battle. So we'll just click on them to battle. Pillars of Eternity combat uses a pausable real-time system. Because you will often manage more than one character at a time, it's a good idea to pause the game, issue orders, and resume real-time to see the orders play out. The options menu also contains many choices for auto-pausing. Alright, so
let's check by those outcroppings.
Okay, so, whoop. One of your characters has been engaged in melee. When characters are engaged, they immediately stop moving. If they move again, they will provoke a disengagement attack or an attack of opportunity from the enemies engaging them. So once you're engaged, you're sort of stuck unless you want to take a free attack from them. Your characters will also automatically engage enemies when they initiate attacks against them with melee weapons. Alright, so first, she's engaging first. We'll take a look at her abilities. She has a second wind, which gives her a bit of a heal. And she has knockdown, so we can try to knock down the wolf. And for Shyke, we're going to move him over here. All characters in the game, friend or foe, have 4 primary defenses against attacks. They have deflection, fortitude, reflex, and will. These defenses are based on the character's attributes, level, items, and other effects. Accuracy is compared to the appropriate defenses when an attack is made. If accuracy is below the targeted defense, the attack suffers a penalty to the roll and is more likely to result in a miss. If accuracy is above the targeted defense, it's more likely to result in a crit. All attacks that do damage have to overcome the target's damage reduction, or DR. An enemy's DR reduces the incoming damage by the listed amount, down to a minimum percentage. If you're having difficulty hurting an enemy, try switching to a different weapon or attack that does a different damage type. Most enemies are strong against 1 or 2 damage types and weak against a similar number. So we just tried to get her to knock down the wolf, and it may have happened. Yeah, it did happen. So now we'll move Shyke over here and get him to attack. And he should be doing sneak attack damage because the thing was knocked down. Yeah, see, sneak attack down here. And you can mouse over these and it'll give you all the information you need. Now that's going to be quite a bit of stuff here, so we're going to try not to do all that, but I'm just sort of giving you guys the rundown right now. We scored a crit. A crit is a better result than a hit, and they're more likely to occur when the attack's accuracy is higher than the target's defense. Attacks that do damage will do more damage on crit. Attacks that inflict static effects or afflictions will have an increased duration on a crit. Grazes are worse than hits and suffer decreased damage and effect durations. Okay. So we can loot the wolf, pick up the pelt, and keep on looking around here. Alright, so...
This is it.
Alright. As you receive quests, your journal will update with relevant information. If you ever get stuck, open it up and review your notes. Okay, so because we're a drifter, she's saying you're kind of a mystery to the rest of the caravan. Just some kind of wanderer, the way I hear it. Sure, that sort of thing tends to happen with are we an orphan? I guess so. Yeah? How is it you happen to come here? I did not burn down the orphanage. Never had a place to call home. I'm still looking. You've got a lot on your mind then. Hopefully things work out in the end, but in my experience, they don't always. She breathes in her surroundings. Been a long time since I've been this way, but I always did like it. Lord Raedric's offer makes a girl think. I'll give him that. You're here to settle like the rest of the lot? So Raedric is offering like adventurers to live in the town of Gilded Vale. It is a hard offer to pass up. You won't find many offers like that in these parts, believe me. Got some big plan in store? I'm gonna try to settle here and start a new life. Well, who knows? Raedric pays well enough. Maybe we'll end up neighbors. Anyway, I'm wasting time here. Odema will give me an earful, so let's be on our way. Why are you here? She sighs unevenly. My sister moved out here, some time back. She sent me a letter. She seemed worried, but that's always how she is. This time, though, she asked me to come out, and that's got me a little worried. I haven't seen her in ages. Been doing guide work in... Okay, thanks for these words. Ixamitil? But I'd do anything for her. She's a much better woman than me, so I'm here and we'll see. Odema I've worked with before. He doesn't usually drive a route this way, but he's doing it for me. Well, tell me about yourself. I've got simple needs. I like open skies and far horizons. I find work that lets me live that way. My family wanders too. We started in Deerwood, but my parents ended up in the Living Lands. I've got a brother in Rawatai and another in Adir. My sister in Gilded Vale, she's the only real homebody. Okay, what can you tell me about the Deerwood? I'm not much for history, but from what I know, it used to be part of the Adir Empire. Broke off after a war some years back. The locals here are feisty, and that's how they like it. I've been out of touch, but I've been hearing weird kind of things about it lately. People having trouble giving birth, I guess. A lot of them. Been going on for years now, but somehow it's getting worse. I'll have to ask my sister more about it. Alright, let's get back to camp. You know, I wouldn't hold my breath that Sparfle's getting you water anytime soon. He does what he feels like, and when he feels like it. We should check up on him first. Slap him around a little. Stream's just down that way. Come on, let's get you your water. Alright, so we updated our quest. So we have different quests here. Now, it's a little strange. So the side quests are here, and I guess the hollowing of the Deerwood is like the main quest. So, We have to journey to the Gilded Vale. There's all this journal entry here. And in a moment's respite, we have to find Sparful. But we are going to do that in the next episode. So, guys, let me know. As I've been saying with a lot of these new series I've been starting lately, I really want to know your thoughts. Because a game like this could take hundreds of hours to beat, right? And I want to sort of gauge the interest before we commit to continuing it on for a very long time. And I'm going to be doing that by monitoring the analytics and checking the views and the likes and all that kind of stuff. But if you do like that kind of stuff, it's going to help me if you hit the like button, and you can even leave comments down below to let me know what you think, so then that way I can assess what I'm doing here and, you know, basically just try to set it up the best way to make the most people happy. So that said, I hope you guys are going to enjoy this series. There's going to be a lot of reading, a lot of lore. It's a lot different than all the other things I'm doing, which is the whole point, right? We're supposed to be variety. So this is going to be pretty different from anything else we're doing, but a lot of people will enjoy this kind of stuff. So I hope you guys are those types of people. And that said, we're going to get going now, and we'll see you in the next one.